What if I told you that the man behind Warren Buffett's legendary success wasn't actually Warren Buffett himself? What if the real architect of Berkshire Hathaway's 20% annual returns was a quiet, book-obsessed lawyer who most people have never heard of? Meet Charlie Munger, the man who transformed Buffett from a bargain hunter into the Oracle of Omaha. And here's the kicker. Everything you think you know about investing success is probably wrong. Today, we're diving deep into the psychological frameworks that built a $400 billion empire. And more importantly, how you can apply these same mental models to revolutionize your own decision-making. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why Charlie Munger might just be the most underrated genius of our time. Charlie Munger has this saying that sounds almost too simple to be profound. Tell me where I'm going to die so I don't go there. But here's what most people miss. This isn't just folksy wisdom. It's a complete rewiring of how successful people think. While everyone else is asking, how do I succeed? Charlie Munger asks, how do I avoid failure? This approach, called inversion, is backed by cognitive science. Dr. Daniel Kahneman, Nobel Prize winner in economics, proved that humans are naturally wired to avoid losses more than we seek gains. Munger figured this out decades before the research caught up. Think about your last major decision: buying a house, choosing a career, even picking a restaurant. Did you start with what could go wrong or what could go right? Most of us are optimists by default, but optimism without preparation is just wishful thinking.
Here's how you can apply this today. Before your next big decision, grab a piece of paper. Draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write what could go wrong. On the right, write how do I prevent it. This simple exercise has saved me from more bad decisions than any other technique I know. But Munger takes this further. He doesn't just avoid obvious failures, he avoids the subtle traps that catch smart people.
Ray Dalio, founder of Bridgewater Associates, echoes this in his book Principles. The biggest mistake investors make is to believe that what happened in the recent past is likely to persist. Here's where Munger gets brutally honest about human nature. He says, if you're wondering whether you're in your circle of competence, you're already outside of it. Ouch. But this insight separates amateurs from professionals in every field. Your circle of competence isn't about what you know. It's about knowing what you don't know. And in our age of information overload, this has never been more critical. We're bombarded with investment opportunities, career advice, and life hacks. The temptation is to dabble in everything. Munger says that's exactly how you guarantee mediocrity. Look at how this played out in real time. During the dot-com boom of the late 90s, everyone called Buffett and Munger dinosaurs for avoiding tech stocks. These old guys don't get it, the critics said. Then came the crash of 2000-2001. Suddenly, those dinosaurs looked like prophets. But here's what's fascinating. They weren't predicting the future. They were simply staying within their circle of competence. As Peter Lynch, the legendary Fidelity fund manager, put it, know what you own and know why you own it. This principle transforms how you approach everything. In your career, instead of trying to be good at everything, what if you became exceptional at 3 things? In investing, instead of chasing every hot stock tip, what if you only invested in businesses you could explain to a 12-year-old? The magic happens when you combine this with what Munger calls sit-on-your-ass investing. While everyone else is making moves to justify their existence, you're waiting for the perfect pitch. Baseball legend Ted Williams had a similar philosophy. He only swung at pitches in his sweet spot. Result? The last player to hit 400 in a season. Now we get to the crown jewel of Munger's thinking, what he calls mental models. This is where most people's brains start to hurt. But stick with me, because this is where the real magic happens. Munger believes that all the academic disciplines, psychology, physics, biology, economics, are artificially separated. In reality, the fundamental principles are universal. He's essentially saying that the same forces that govern how water flows downhill also govern how money flows in markets.
Take the concept of incentives from economics. Munger says, show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome.
This isn't just about money. It's about human behavior at its core. FedEx discovered this when they couldn't get their workers to sort packages efficiently. They tried everything: training, motivation speeches, threats. Nothing worked. Then they changed one simple thing. Instead of paying workers by the hour, they paid them to complete a fixed amount of work. Suddenly, efficiency skyrocketed. But here's where it gets interesting. The same principle applies to your personal life. If you want to exercise more, don't rely on willpower to change the incentive structure. Put your gym clothes next to your bed. Make it easier to work out than not to work out.
Naval Ravikant, the entrepreneur and investor, puts it perfectly. The modern devil is cheap dopamine. Our brains are wired for immediate rewards, but long-term success requires delayed gratification.
Munger figured out how to hack this system by creating what he calls checklists. These aren't just to-do lists. They're psychological circuit breakers that force you to think when your emotions want to take over. Surgeons use them to prevent medical errors. Pilots use them to prevent crashes. You can use them to prevent bad decisions. Here's where Munger gets deeply personal, and frankly, where most business advice falls short. He doesn't just talk about making money. He talks about deserving it. There's a story that perfectly captures this. Munger once bought stock from an elderly woman at a price he knew was too low. Later, he tracked her down and paid her the difference. When asked why, he said, "I can't make money from widows and orphans." This wasn't charity. This was strategic character building.
You see, Munger understands something that most people miss. Reputation is the ultimate competitive advantage. In a world where information travels instantly and everyone has a platform, your character becomes your brand. And unlike other assets, character compounds over time.
Warren Buffett puts it this way: it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. But Munger goes deeper. He says, to get what you want, you have to deserve what you want. This isn't feel-good philosophy, it's practical wisdom. Think about the people you trust most in your life. They probably have one thing in common: consistency between their words and actions over time. That's not an accident, that's compound interest working on character.
But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us are inconsistent. We say we value health, but eat junk food. We say we value relationships, but check our phones during conversations. We say we value learning, but watch Netflix instead of reading. Munger's solution, what he calls deserving what you want. If you want a promotion, become the person who deserves a promotion. If you want better relationships, become the person who deserves better relationships. If you want financial freedom, become the person who deserves financial freedom. This connects to what psychologist Carol Dweck calls the growth mindset, the belief that abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. Munger lived this decades before it had a name.
So here we are, at the end of our journey through Charlie Munger's mind. But this isn't really an ending. It's a beginning, because everything we've talked about today is worthless unless you actually use it.
Let me leave you with 3 specific actions you can take today. First, create your own avoid at all costs list.
Write down 5 things you will never do in your career, relationships, or investments. This isn't about being negative. It's about creating guardrails for your future self.
Second, define your circle of competence. What are the 3 areas where you have genuine expertise?
More importantly, what are you pretending to know but actually don't? Honesty here is brutal but necessary.
Third, start building your checklist system.
Pick one area of your life where you make frequent decisions. Maybe it's hiring people. Maybe it's choosing investments. Maybe it's deciding how to spend your weekends. Create a simple checklist that forces you to slow down and think.
Remember, Munger didn't become Munger overnight. He's been refining these ideas for over 70 years. The compound interest of good thinking takes time, but it's the most powerful force in the universe.
As he says, the big money is not in the buying and selling, but in the waiting. The same is true for wisdom. The big insights don't come from consuming more content, they come from deeply applying what you already know.
Your future self is watching. What will you choose to deserve?